Now let's look at the keyboard. And there are three events that we need to take a look at. So I'm going to start by copying this chunk of code. And I'll paste a copy and make this add key events. And I don't need an ID here because I'm going to attach them to the window for reasons that I'll explain. Okay, and here are the events that I want to add. So I want key up, key down, and key press. I'll close that off. All right, so why the window? Well, you can only send keys to input elements that have the focus. So for example, a type-in box, you can set the focus to that type-in box and you can type keys into it. But this thing here, our little click me box, we can't really put the focus on this thing. It's just an HTML element on the page. So what we're going to do instead is we're going to go ahead and send our key press events to the window, because the window can have the focus and can get the key press. So let's look at the events that we get. I'm going to go ahead and I'll save that and reload. And I think that's right. Good. Okay. So let's try it. So I'm going to click on the window and I'm going to press the letter A. Oh, I forgot to call add key events. So let me do that. And now reload. Okay, so I press the letter A, and when I press it, I get a key down and a key press, and then when I release it, I get a key up. So I get 3 events for each key press. And if I go ahead and open this key down event, you'll see that just like with the mouse events, I have Alt key and Control key, and there's a Shift key as well. So those mode keys, they're still going to be here. But with keys, I also have some things that are key specific. So this key property, that's the actual character that I just typed. And for printable characters like alphanumeric and punctuation and so on, it's the actual character. And then for things that aren't printable, like arrow keys and some control keys, you're going to go ahead and get a special string that represents it. So we'll see that in a second. And then this key code refers to the actual key on the keyboard that I pressed. So let's consider, for example, capital A versus lowercase a. Those are the same key, and so you're going to get the same key code regardless of what actually gets typed. Whether you get a lowercase a or an uppercase a is going to depend on whether the shift key is pressed or not. So key code maps to an individual key on the keyboard that gets pressed. And here's the issue. So this A here, this is the easiest thing to use usually, but this is a relatively new feature and is not widely supported. So most of the other ones, like this key code, these are deprecated, which means that you're discouraged from using them, but you'll still see key code being used fairly commonly because key is new and is not supported everywhere. So we'll look at Mozilla Developer Network to actually see where key is available. So in addition to the key and the key code, you'll also see that as usual there's a target, which is the HTML element that's getting it. We're actually getting it on the body tag. There's a timestamp, and then this which key. And I should have mentioned when I was looking at button presses on the mouse, you can tell which button was pressed by this which attribute as well. So there's a button attribute and there's also a which attribute, just like there's a key code attribute and there's also a which attribute. So let's go ahead and look at some other keys. So that's lowercase a. Now I'm going to hold down the shift key and hit uppercase a. So this key down for uppercase A, oh, actually I have the same thing twice. So let's look at the key down. So once again, it's the same code, which is key A. This time Alt key is not pressed, but somewhere Shift key is. Yeah, so shift key is true. You'll see the same key code as before, but this time the key is capital A, and the rest of it's not particularly interesting. So let's look at some of the non-printable characters. So I'm going to go ahead and type left arrow. And you'll notice that I still got a key down and a key up, but I didn't get a key press. So that's the big difference between key down and key press. You get both of them when the key is pressed, but if it's a printable, you'll also get a key press event, but if it's not printable, you just get the key down. So, and you'll also see that the key field has the string arrow left here to mark the left arrow. And we have arrow up, arrow right, arrow down. Now, you can, if you open this thing up, you can see which key that was. So arrow up is actually key code 38. And let's take a look at arrow right. Arrow right is key code 39, and so on. So let's go ahead and do something with this. I'm going to go ahead and what I'm going to do is I'm going to make the positioning on this click me box be absolute. So on my click box, I'm going to go and say position absolute. And then in my JavaScript, I'm going to go ahead and add a new event listener. So window add event listener. And I want to respond to arrow keys, so I'm going to use key down here. So function of event. And what I'm going to do inside is I'm going to switch off of the event dot key. So then the cases I'm going to look for are arrow left, and arrow right, and arrow up, and arrow down. And then let me fix the indentation. This should actually be case that and then this is inside of the case statement. So what am I going to do here? I'm going to have two local variables, x position, and let me start that at say 250, and y position I'll also start at 250. And then I'm going to use this to set the position of the upper left corner of this box. So let's go, let's also get the box. And the way I set the position of this, if it's absolute, is I set box.style.left equal x position, and box.style.top is y position. And this isn't quite right because these are numbers, but I have to give it a unit as well. For CSS, for style, I need to give it a unit. So this is going to be in pixels. So I add pixels to the end, and same thing here. So if I just run the code as is, it should position my box at 250, 250. And did not. Let's inspect it. So position is absolute. Oh, did I call that? Hold on. Oh, so this only gets run when I hit a key. So let me go ahead and hit a key. And it blipped over to there. Okay, so now I also want to set the initial position, which I'm going to do outside of the event listener. And to make that work, I need access to these outside as well. So let me go ahead and define them here. So this means add key events is a closure, and it's closed over those variables. Great. So now I can access them from inside the function. I can also access them at the end here. And let's reload. Good. So now it starts out in the right position. So what am I going to do here? I'm going to go ahead and say for left, xpos minus equal 10. For right, xpos plus equal 10. For up, ypos minus equal 10. And for down, ypos plus equal 10. And then I'm going to reset the position. Reload. And now if I use the arrow keys, or if I hold it down, I get repeats. Now you'll notice that when I do that, it not only moves the box on the page, but it also affects the scroll bar. So that's the default behavior for the arrow keys, is to scroll the view inside the window. But I don't actually want to do that here. All I really want to do is move the box. I don't want to change the scroll position at all. So what I want to do is I want to prevent that default behavior. And the way you do that is whenever you get an event, you call Event.preventDefault, like so. So that says when I get here, I have completely handled the event and I don't want to do anything else with it. So we'll reload. And now you'll notice it's having no effect on the scroll bar.